In a world driven by instant gratification and fleeting pleasures, it's easy to lose sight of what truly matters. People often rush into relationships, driven by desire, without pausing to ask themselves what lies beneath the surface. There's a deeper truth, a hidden layer to every connection we form, and within that truth are signs, clues that reveal more about someone's past than words ever could. We live in an age dominated by superficiality, where many give themselves away, seeking something they cannot quite name. But what if I told you there are subtle, often overlooked signs that can shed light on the past of a woman who has walked the path of numerous intimate encounters? These aren't judgments, but reflections, windows into human nature. The Stoics, masters of self-control and reason, teach us that it's not the surface that defines a person, but what lies within. Marcus Aurelius, one of the great Stoic philosophers, reminds us that the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. A woman who has sought connection in many places carries the weight of those experiences, not as a burden, but as an energy. This energy may not always be obvious, but it manifests in ways that those attuned to human nature can clearly perceive. She might appear restless, as if she has searched for fulfillment in external pleasures, yet still feels the empty echoes of that search. It's not about condemnation, it's about understanding the human condition. The Stoic path isn't about looking down on others, but about recognizing patterns and safeguarding your own soul from being misled by destructive emotions. When you meet someone, don't just listen to what they say, pay attention to the energy they project. A woman who has had many intimate connections often carries a certain detachment, as if intimacy has lost its deeper significance. There's a fleeting quality to it, a desire for something more, yet never quite finding it. This can be a sign of someone who has spent time searching externally, not realizing that true fulfillment comes from within. The Stoics teach us that our true power lies within, and that we must protect our minds from being swayed by external influences. Seneca once said, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." The same principle applies to relationships. How often do we suffer because we've been led by our desires, rather than by reason? We fall into traps set by appearances and fleeting passions, failing to recognize the deeper truths hidden beneath them. A woman who has shared herself with many may appear alluring, but we must ask ourselves, are we being drawn into her story, or are we maintaining control of our own narrative? Stoicism teaches us to stay grounded, not to let others' turmoil pull us into chaos. The true philosopher understands that peace comes not from external pleasures, but from mastering one's own desires. In a world where so many chase temporary highs, we must be the ones who seek lasting peace. We must learn to recognize when someone is still searching for something outside of themselves, and ask ourselves, do we want to be part of that search, or do we seek something greater? The Stoic way is to strive for wisdom, to see beyond the veil of attraction and desire, and to recognize that true strength lies within. When we learn to read these signs, we protect ourselves from the chaos of being swayed by someone else's unresolved needs. We guard our inner citadel, as Epictetus taught, by mastering our desires and not allowing them to control us. A woman's past may be written in her actions, but our future is shaped by how we choose to respond.